Hey everybody, this is Danny with Bob with some truth, and I want to talk about this question that's on the title because I'm curious about this. So it happened because I was talking with a coworker, and my coworker and I were talking about the debate last night, and I did a video about this. If you look at the videos that we did within the last day or so, you'll see it, and I hope you watch it because a good number of people did, so that was cool. And we were talking about the Democratic and Republican Party, and I was sharing something with him that I've shared with other people before. I share thoughts sometimes to get people's feedback if I'm thinking about something, because I don't like to just think something, keep it in my head, and it could be wrong. And I was talking to him, and I was saying that I think the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are really just one party. They represent only one interest, and that is really the interest of corporations and the establishment. And that the Democratic Party is the left side of that, and the Republican Party is the right side. And I wanted to kind of get some thoughts from you guys about that, because I say that because there's a couple things I look at that kind of lead me down this road. One of the things that I think about is the fact that I look at the DNC leaks, I look at the way the Democrats have embraced Wall Street and big money interests. I look at Hillary supporting fracking, TPP, various things, and I see the way she's reaching out to Republicans. She's reaching out to neoconservatives, and I know she's doing it in kind of a campaign measure to get the Republicans who don't want to support Trump. But it also seems to me as though the Democratic Party is becoming more Republican. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you like that. But I think when you want to have two parties that are different so that people have a real choice, I think it's worrisome to people. Like, I look at Hillary and I watched a debate last night, and I honestly thought to myself, she's a Republican. She's like a 20 years ago Republican. Like, the more I listen to her talk, the more I hear Bob Dole and George H.W. Bush. I hear that type of Republican. And that's not a bad thing. You know, she's a centrist Democrat. Her, Bill Clinton, President Obama, they're not progressives. They're not. You look at you look at their platforms and what they stand for. They're not. But the more, and then I look at the DNC leaks and the way they went against Bernie Sanders. I look at all these different factors, and it really leads me to believe that the Democratic Party is the left wing of the corporate establishment. The Republicans are the right wing. So Hillary and the Democrats appeal to people who support the corporations, the corporatists, I call them, on the left side, who like more of the left policies. And Donald Trump is running far right, okay? And he's appealing to those who like the corporatist positions. You know, he was pushing Reaganomics last night, which we know doesn't work, but he's still trying to sell it to get him and his friends those tax cuts that they desire. And he appeals to people on the right. People who want that corporate, backing, or that corporatist flavor, but they want it more from the right than they do the left. And I think it's interesting, too, because when I look at, for example, who Donald Trump supports, I see this divide happening in this country, because this is kind of what made me think about this. Like, in our country, I see a divide occurring where it used to be people identified as Democrat or Republican, liberal versus conservative. Now I think people are starting to shift, and it's becoming people identifying as more populist versus corporatist or establishment, and people identifying more as authoritarians versus libertarians. And what I mean by that is they may not call themselves a libertarian, but they want the concept of freedom in everyday dealings, even in the marketplace. Whereas the authoritarians want to be able to control speech, the economy, everything. They want more control over it. And some of you may think, well, that's like right versus left, Daniel. No, because you can have libertarians on the left and the right, okay? Because I know people on both sides. You can have authoritarians on the left and the right. Some would say that the social justice warriors are authoritarians on the left, and the people that Trump speaks to are authoritarians on the right. So I think America's in this mixture where we're starting to be resliced, if you will, into these new demographics that we weren't before. Really, I think, really stemming from George W. Bush's presidency, because we had this presidency that had all this power and control, and there were people who said, yes, we need that kind of power in government to be able to kill the bad guys and terrorists. And then there were people who said, no, we need to be able to maintain freedom. That's what the That's what the Constitution says. We cannot give that up just because of fear. And so it kind of got sliced that way. I feel like that's where it started in modern times within the last like 8 years. But what are your thoughts on this? Because I don't want to like go around with crazy thoughts. Do you see the Democrat and Republican Party as really just one giant corporatist party with two wings, or do you see it differently? Is there something I didn't think about? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments so we can reach out and continue to have a dialogue. Here on Bothersome Truth, at least, when we do these videos, we love having conversation because we don't know all the answers. I don't know everything. I love listening to you guys because I learn from you every single day. So leave your thoughts in the comments. I hope to see you next time on the Bothersome Truth. Have a wonderful day.